morning and welcome to a very delayed video. Sorry about that. If you remember a few weeks ago I said, hey, I'm fixing to get into my busy season. Well, once they knew we were starting our busy season, the bookings came, bam, bam, bam. Next thing I know, I'm pretty much solidly booked till probably end of May. Great for me. No free time to spend with y'all as much, so apologies. Before we get into the crux of the video, the spicy, meaty chunk part of this stew, let's talk about the playtest. We haven't playtested in a couple of weeks. The last one we did was huge. It was fantastic. We got to wrap up the adventure that I am, one of the two adventures I'm adding to the published Magigeddon. It is entitled the Temple of the Ashen Pools. The other one's called Enter the Sabbath Astral. Anyway, the playtest went awesome. They finished. Everybody survived. Barely. They got to face with a flesh surgeon and survived. It was awesome. They got to ride on an airship. They got to meet the Queen of Bats, who kind of leads like a little thieves guild in Rostock, the setting city, or the beginning city. Excuse me. It was awesome. We're taking a few weeks off because I'm adding more artifacts. We're kind of redoing the loot tables, messing around, debating. I designed this to be classless, but a part of me right here kind of wants the backgrounds I've generated, maybe lessen them, tighten them up, and those kind of become, I don't want to say class, that's overgeneralizing, but play around. Maybe you get specific abilities, or maybe not abilities, but I don't know, specialties maybe from the background that you randomly generate. I don't know. I'm still playing with that. I may not. I may just keep it as they are. But the reason why I'm toying with all these ideas is because, and I'll do a review in a later video before we get any further. This video is going to run very long. We got a lot to get into today, so I apologize. But first, let's talk about why I'm taking about almost a month before the next playtest, because I'm really focusing, writing, taking what we learned about the adventure, the Temple of the Ashen Pools, what we learned about combat, the weapon sigils, the spells, the spell books, wands, yada 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 yada. But I picked up in the interim this book, How to Write Adventure Modules That Don't Suck. And let me give you a mini review. Go get it. If you're a DM, GM, referee, judge, go get it. It is invaluable. It is put out by Goodman Games, and they're the ones who put out Dungeon Crawl Classics. Again, fantastic book. It'll be featured in an upcoming series. A brand new series I'm gonna start. Probably gonna call it the Unhallowed Tome of Knowledge or something. It's gonna be more for DMs, GMs, and judges. It's gonna go in like required reading, or reading I recommend for you to go into, and you'll see this in Dungeon Crawl Classics in it, definitely. Plus some other stuff that you've seen here. Anyway, it is what it is. It's just a series of essays written by the stable and then some of Goodman Games adventure writers. And Goodman Games was known before they launched Dungeon Crawl Classics. These old school gonzo feel, incredible adventures for 3rd and 3.5, or is it just 3. Somewhere right around that area. And then they branched out with the OGL and created Dungeon Crawl Classics, which is their spin, and it's an incredible game. Again, highly recommend it. Almost anything Goodman Games puts out, I highly recommend. I love how it's just like my notebook and notes. What was great is each essay has, dealing with a part of how they write adventures, and then at the end of the essay, the writer actually creates an encounter, and he takes what he put in the essay and shows you how it's done in an actual encounter. This book is teaching me so much more than I already knew. known. I don't know. So I took my time to read it, and then I'm gonna apply the knowledge here that I gained from this awesome tome into not only Mageddon, but any table that I'm running, any game, any system I'm running. Again, I'm gonna put the links down below, directly from Goodman Games or Amazon, because hey, pandemic may have hit all wallets pretty hard, right? Okay. So that's where I am with Mageddon. Hopefully the next playtest will be in about a month or so. I am wearing, there is a reason why I'm wearing a witch's hat, and every part of my outfit has something to do with today's video. So we'll go into all that here. I think that's all the announcements, or updates. Let me do, I'm gonna start adding a little to these videos, a little small section, albums or bands that I recommend. I think I did that with Dungeon Sith in my very first welcome to this channel, and I haven't done anything since. But let me, there's a 3-piece band out of France. They're a metal band. Don't let that put you off. They're called Slift. S-L-I-F-T. I'll put a YouTube link, or maybe a Spotify link. I think a YouTube link down below. Imagine Black Sabbath, Zepp, and Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, ended up in a grunge area mosh pit full of drugs, and they had wild sex, and they birthed this awesome band called Slift. That's what their music sounds like. The latest album, well, the album came out last year. It's called Ummon. U-M-M-O-N. Listen to it. Get your creative juices going. Rock out, man. It's amazing. Can't speak highly enough of that album. If you like that genre, you may not. It may not be your forte. It may not be your niche at all. That's fine. But if you do, go check them out. Let's get into the chunky part of this stew. Like I said earlier, video is entitled "A Post-5E World." And what do I mean by that? As you can see, well, actually, you can't. I have it blocked. I forgot. I changed some stuff around in my shelf. I love 5e. I absolutely adore it. I think it is maybe, especially for new DMs, the most accessible of the editions ever put out by either TSR or Wizards of the Coast. The user-friendly appeal is just, it's staggering. It's so easy for a new DM to pick up and just go. Even new players, it's easy to show them how to create it. You can create a character in what, 15 minutes? Maybe 5. Once you know what you're doing, boop, boop, 5 minutes, you're done. Awesome. The rules, some of the rules, the streamlining the rules are, the whole advantage, disadvantage is beautiful. It flows, it feels right. Bounded accuracy is there's no really power creep, because, well, you start pretty much as a superhero anyway. It's all spaced out very well designed. But I haven't ran a session of 5e since probably sometime in between the holidays of last year. I mean, part of that is scheduling. I get it. I understand. But I just haven't, and it's not because I don't want to. I just see that there's this is totally my opinion. There's I perceive a small bloat, a creep of bloat happening into 5e, and it is affecting my desire to run 5e. Don't get me wrong, I still play. I'm in 3 but they meet irregularly, maybe once a month or stuff like that. So I'll still play, but there's a small bloat creep, especially for DMs. If you could see my shelf, it's overburdened with the amount of 5e books that I have right now. And since I'm not running 5e, I really don't need all those books, right? I mean, it's in all secret. All you people who are about to DM, never DM before, all you need are the free basic rules and a D20. That is it. That's all you need to run 5e. That's it. Well, players, but that's kind of understood. But that's kind of an open secret. To me, D&D is just anything with a D20. But seriously, that's all you need. They even have, I believe, free pre-generated characters. You don't even have to roll up characters. You can just go. But then if you really like it, go ahead and get the core books. And what I mean by the core books is 3. That's the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide. I didn't mean to flip anybody off, sorry. And the Master Manual. That's it. Again, that's all you need. That's all you want to spend. I mean, right there, that's $150, whereas you can just run with the free stuff. Savings of $150 for you. You don't need Tashas, you don't need Xanathars, you don't need Volos or Mordenkainens. You don't need their published adventures. I have most of them. I really wish I could run, Avernus or Icewind Dale or Tomb of Annihilation, some of the stuff that I really want to run. I don't need those. They're extraneous. It is this illusion of choice that's been kind of hidden in 5e, and it feels like you have so many options and choices, but I think it actually limits the player, not the character. It enhances the character, obviously, but I think it limits the player. And again, I'm changing perspective. Sorry, I'm jumping around on my outline and stuff. It kind of limits, and it's a rules bloat. With every new book, there's a rules bloat, and it gets kind of overwhelming. Even in a system like 5e. I can't think. I had the term and I forgot to write it down. And now I'm going to be thinking about it, and you have to put up with that. It comes down to chance. You could say that with anything, so you use dice, but you look at your character sheet and you throw a skill at it or a feat. You don't really think about it. You don't, as a player, you don't really think about it. You default to the character sheet, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's a style of play that I'm gonna sound like a grognard, and I'm not trying to. You just bear with me for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's why there's a mechanic baked into 5e that's called inspiration. So when you think beyond what's on your character sheet, when you think outside the sheet, that's when I'm gonna throw you inspiration. Or you use, ingenuity, player ingenuity, not character ingenuity. I'm gonna throw inspiration at you all day. I don't care if you already have it. I will break that rule. If you do it like 3 times that rule, I'll still give you inspiration. Like, you have inspiration times 3. Just because that's what I like to see. I don't like, I'm a warlock, I'm a hexblade, but I'm just gonna sit back and Eldritch Blast. And it attack the target. That's fine. You can do that. If that's your style of play, that's fine. But a different player using the same, let's say, character build, which we're going to get to in a little bit. I can fire 3 Eldritch Blasts. It uses force, so I'm gonna hit the target, but at the same time I'm gonna knock those rocks that are blocking the cave entrance and try to knock those out of the way using that force damage. I'll be like, ooh, good idea. Let's see what the damage does, and let's see if it's strong enough to push those rocks. And you know what? You get a little bit of inspiration. You're hoping you get yourself out of a predicament by thinking outside the character sheet. Again, nothing wrong with 5e in that regard. It also opens up a mini game, and it's a mini game I love to play, and I do it all the time, and that's character builds, and that comes from hardcore MMO, World of Warcraft, raid and arena tournament guy goes for optimum builds and these character builds and what can I do per round, what can I do to bring this out. And that's actually fun. Like going through D&D Beyond and using the character builder and not necessarily min-max, I'm not saying that, but you do kind of optimize. Like how best can I use this character in this situation with what's given. And that is awesome. I love doing that. I love coming up with these really weird builds, and I semi-multi-class, not really, but I kind of do sometimes, and that's really fun. And like I said, that's a whole other mini game that I love to play. And you know what? 5e in that regard gives you so many options, right? So many options, with so many subclasses. And now with the what do they call it? Race up? No, something where origin manager. Brilliant, because then you don't have to be stuck to like the racial bonuses of like an elf or a gnome. You can like maybe you're a gnome that lifted the weight, so you're like a gnome barbarian that instead of being super smart, you're just like, oh no, I'm gonna punch things. Although you're a little resistant, I'm gonna punch things. Awesome, I love that freedom, but still an illusion of choice. And that goes where again you kind of default to the character sheet. You don't default to the player. Nothing wrong. I keep saying it, and there's nothing wrong with it. I love 5e. I'm still going to play in it. I don't know if I'm going to run it. Maybe if an opportunity presents itself, I would love to. I really want to run Tomb of Annihilation or Avernus or Icewind Dale. Any of those. I really, really, really want to run it. But I'm totally okay with running Magigeddon when we can during a playtest. I'm totally okay with what's actually I have been running since the holidays. And I think before we get into that, let me sum up with 5e. This again, it's what I see as bloat. It's just rules bloat, book bloat, and too many options that actually limit player ingenuity. Will I get 6e? I don't know. I've been with 5e when it was D&D Next. I helped play test it. I love it. But 6e, I don't think it's coming out anytime soon. Wizard of the Coast, actually the Dungeons & Dragons brand itself made a 33% increase over the last year. Of course, most people were staying home, playing more D&D online, etc., etc. I get it. I understand that. I think Hasbro said they're going to try to put out 4 books a year. Talk about bloat. This is when you enter the 3.5 original Pathfinder splat book bloat, which I hate. I absolutely hate it. Again, it's too much. Some people get like, oh no, I can't get enough. It's gonna be awesome, but it's for me as a DM, it's too much. It's too much to parse. So am I gonna get 6e? I don't know. I may sit back and wait. I don't even know when it's coming out. I mean, what is it? 2014. I think when the D&D Next started, maybe. I can't. It's been so long. So this game cycle's 6 to 7 years so far. I think with the way they're doing it, probably 3 to 5 more years of this cycle. I would imagine. Maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. It's owned. Remember, Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro, and if they start seeing sales drop, their corporation, they're going to say, hey, it's time to get a new edition out there. Let's drop 6e. Let's do it. Let's get out there and pump those numbers up. Summation. I love 5e. Wish I could run it more. I will still play it. All you need are the basic rules, D20. Everything else is extraneous. So, what am I running at my table? It's been in front of you this whole entire time, my friends. Oh, sorry. Old School Essentials. which is D&D. It is and I've talked about it several times. It is just a restructuring, a reorganization, and a clarifying of the 1981 Moldave Cook Basic and Expert rule sets. What I love, and I just showed you the box set, is that it's completely modular. You can take parts out, take parts in, keep whatever you want. Again, just like the old D&D and every single edition of D&D, there's something you don't like, a rule, you can toss it out, you can change it, they don't care. And you shouldn't either. That's what makes the game so fun. And I love the box set because when I'm at a table, if we ever get to a table again, everything's modular. So if somebody's rolling, maybe they're creating one of the original basic classes, which are cleric, thief, magic user, fighter, dwarf, halfling, elf. Yes, back then race was his class, and I like that. It's kind of cool. It just gives it that old school. It's right there, old school essentials, but that kind of appendix in feeling where it's mostly a human-dominated fantasy world, and demi-humans are these rare and almost otherworldly types of beings, and this race of class gives you that feel. Now, with the advanced fantasy, because it's used the classic, Gavin Norman, he created Necrotic Gnome, and he did the old school essentials. He took aspects of AD&D and put it within the constraints and power levels and everything of the basic expert sets. So he added like a ton of classes like acrobat, assassin, paladin, ranger, races like gnome, drow, and why does everybody have such a hard time pronouncing this? I know how to pronounce it, then I see it, and then my brain goes. Swift Neblin, I think, and Duragar. They also introduced half elf, half orcs. One of my favorite classes, the illusionist. So you're at a table, and say you have one guy. And if you're like me, the GM, or excuse me, the referee is what it's referred to here in Old School Essentials. They want to roll up a thief. I'll give them the classic fantasy genre rules. Somebody wants to roll a paladin. I'll give them the advanced fantasy rules. Well, I get to keep the treasure book. Running out of space. Druid in this is brilliant. This is so brilliant. Druid and illusion, because druid's in advanced fantasy and so is illusionist, while cleric and magic user was in the basic, so I can spread these out too. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. They also have like actual big books, tomes, which I got this t-shirt, or excuse me, no, I kickstarted the kickstarted, and I'm getting the tomes so I can sit down and like pass those books out, but I have everything in one tome for myself. This is just this is separate. This doesn't come in the box set. It's a great introductory module called The Winter's Daughter, written by Gavin Norman himself. You got the core rules, which just takes, like again, the basic expert set, I just love that. I love the modularity of it. And then I think what's left is just monsters. Yeah, just monsters. So I have all these, and I go through them, and I can reference them. Each book uses the front pages or in papers, and like I have a tap matrix for the monster by hit dice. I have game statistics. I've got a breakdown of monsters by hit dice. I can pull up right there. Oh, I should have pulled the the referee screen out. I think I've showed it on here before, so I'm not really worried about it. So this is what I'm currently running at my table, and I'm running it with people. I think one of my players played 2nd edition, the oldest. It's not too far off from this, and they're loving it. And it's literally. I'm gonna show you the character sheet here in a second. You roll straight down 3d6. So you roll first. You choose your class after you see if you make the requirements for that class. Like it could be maybe intelligence of 11, play a certain class. You got to make sure you have intelligence 11. They do have rules where you can like lower one score and raise another, like lower say your strength by 2 to raise up your intelligence by 1. So you can do that to kind of fit into, like, if you had a certain mindset for a class. Put this back up. Oop. Sorry about that. Yeah, so Old School Essentials. So I'm currently running, and it goes to all what I was talking about, the player ingenuity and not the character ingenuity. And I'm gonna let me just show you this. Still a little coffee. Oh wow, it's been coffee everywhere. Let me just show you this character sheet, and I'll. This is one of my favorite artists who designed this. And you can get it for free on the Necrotic Gnome's website. Link down below. I'll also put a link down for this. Let me put that up there. This is the character sheet. No skills. No feats. You do have different saves, because back then you had these kind of saves. But a smart referee, I remember this time, can also use those for different, almost skill checks, if you want to. So it falls onto player ingenuity. Say we have a party in a dungeon, and let's do a 5e to OSE comparison. In 5e, the DM would if somebody a player said, or a player says, I check the room for traps. Most of the time, the DM is going to ask for a check, perception, investigation, or the DM feels. There are also variable rules in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Usually investigation, I believe, is intelligence. But let's say it's a thief or a rogue, checking for traps. You could actually sub his dexterity in for the intelligence, and if he's proficient, then he gets that bonus as well. There's rule. I mean, it's an optional rule, but I do like that rule a lot, because it kind of thinks outside the box. So you're left up to a chance of finding traps. In OSE, there's no check for it. A player will state, "I will search the room," and the referee will go, "Right, describe to me how you're checking the room." And the player will think for a minute. I will make my way along the walls, checking, and the referee will go, "Well, in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you find 2 loose bricks that seem out of place in the wall. From them, you feel a gentle breeze coming from. Which brick do you press?" This is one of my favorite traps that I created, by the way. So, spoiler. And then the player chooses which one to press. One will open a secret door, the other one a trap, whatever lays below. It's whatever I want. It's my game. It's whatever you want. It's your trap. It's your trap now. So there's an understood mechanic in OSE or BX, and I think Chris McDowell, the creator of Enter the Odd Electric Bashland, sums it up, where traps should always be found, unless the character does not state they're looking. I love that. It simplifies. It puts the onus on the player, and that could go for anything. It's traps. It's hazards. It's what's lurking around the other side of the corridor. Monsters give off smells. So as a referee, you should describe things so the players react, not the characters. The players react to what the referee is offering. I think that's about it. Oh, the hat. Why am I wearing the witch's hat? Because we are playtesting my first class I've ever written for Old School Essentials. The Witch. The Witch is, if you know me, is one of my favorite classes. it's a it's not a prototypical class. So, and there's tons written for Old School Essentials, but I felt like they went beyond. Like Old School Essentials, all their classes are 2 pages, and it's like a nice control panel. So that's what I kind of did with my which class. It needs a little tightening. I'm going to put it up with a few others on Drive-Thru RPG soon. Probably for like $1. But if you want to take a look at it, hit me up in the comments. I'll send you a copy. If you just want to look at it, if you're interested in OSC, have any questions about it, let me know. Again, this is the whole Post-5E. This is what I'm going to be running for the foreseeable future. I love it. My players love it. I've introduced some other people to it. They're enjoying it. It's just a different yet familiar style of play that has a more, when I say tactical, I don't mean like a war game, which, I mean, that's what Dungeons & Dragons came from, was from, wargaming. But it does have that. You do have resource management. You have to keep time. And you have to keep track of encumbrance. Because why? Treasure, baby. That's where you get XP from. You get a little bit from killing monsters, but it's better to avoid or parlay or trick than it is to fight. Encounters are way overbalanced. I think that ends my rant. But it's not really a rant. It's just what I think I'm going to be doing in a post-5e world. If I'm given the chance to run 5e, I'm going to run it. Especially if they want to run those 3, Avernus, Tomb of Annihilation, and Icewind. I definitely will run it. I may run it hardcore style, but that's a story for another day. Alright, this video went on for way too long. I'm glad you stuck around and listened to this old grognard speak on his thoughts on gaming and whatnot. There might be a Magic-Eden update because of what I'm writing and how I'm doing it and what I'm adding and what I'm taking away. I'll let you know what I'm thinking about the backgrounds as kind of pseudo classes for Magic-Eden. If there's anything you would like me to talk about coming up, let me know. I may do a full review. Well, I am going to do a full review on how to write adventure modules that don't suck, because that is just a great book. Like, again, I said, short story, get it, highly recommended. I think that's about it. I do have a game, and we are running. Oh, let me show you this. So, like I said, I kickstarted the last thing by Old School Essentials, and it's 3 or 4. I can't. There was a number of adventures that became free or discounted for stretch goals. So I am running one written by Gavin Norman again, called Incandescent Grottos. I did print it out for I have it on PDF. I printed it out for myself because I don't have the hardback yet. It hasn't come in. But we'll be running that tonight, so my players get to run it. I'm very excited. I want to do some reviews, like on The Winter's Daughter. I want to do reviews on this and the other 2 that I got, Halls of the Blood King, which is like a Ravenloft or a Curse of Strahd that I really want to run because it's really cool. The unique take on vampires. And spoilers, vampires. I mean, Blood King. Come on, guys. And what's the other one? Isle of the Planet Mage. And there's another one that's been delayed, who's written by the guy who did Ultraviolet Grounds, or UVG, Luka Rajic, who's one of my favorite artists and kind of writers in the OSR world. Anyway, this has gone on very long. I still got to edit and post it. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, and I will see y'all hopefully next week. Who knows what I'm going to be wearing that week. Take care, and may all your rolls be crits. Appreciate it.